The future of Call of Duty looks a bit weird. The latest COD pod is out, the Call of Duty podcast, and in it they talk a lot about the future of Call of Duty and Black Ops 7 without really saying anything substantial. So in this video, I'm breaking down the only important parts from that and just talking about why everything feels a little bit weird right now. Before we get too far into it, let's talk about the state of Call of Duty as of the 18th of June. Hardly anyone I know who makes content about Call of Duty is still playing the game with any regularity. Everyone seems to have jumped ship to something else, whether that's Splitgate or I've been playing loads of Dune Awakening, I've seen people playing Star Wars Battlefront. It feels like there's not a huge amount of interest in Call of Duty right now. And that could be because Season 4 wasn't super exciting. You know, we didn't get a new zombies map. The Warzone changes were mostly related to the Overlook, which is a cool new point of interest, but it is just one location on the Warzone map. There's stuff like Clash that I personally don't care about and some things in multiplayer that I'm not so interested in. But there wasn't a lot to really sink our teeth into with Season 4. There wasn't a lot that felt like it changed the game. And all of the problems we've had over the last few seasons have got much worse. And obviously, cheating is a big problem. They haven't solved the cheating problem. There's a bunch of cheaters playing right now. I think because there's less players overall, you're more likely to get matched up against people who are cheating, and that absolutely sucks. And to top it all off, they released a bundle yesterday, I think, or maybe the day before, that's hacker themed, which, you know, you could argue in slightly bad taste. But anyway, regardless of that, in it, there's a calling card that says hacked. I feel like that's a little bit on the nose, that they're like, hey, you've been having problems with cheaters lately, cheaters ruining your games. Well, now you can pay us like, I don't know what it is, 15, 20 quid, and get a calling card that says that you've been hacked. I'm sure that wasn't their intention when they made this, but it just feels a little bit ridiculous. Anyway, now back to the COD pod, the COD podcast. In it, they start with a detailed breakdown of the trailer. So the Black Ops 7 trailer that we got a little while ago at Summer Games Fest, and they have someone from Treyarch on there, and they're talking about how everything's very important and significant and symbolic.
Why is there a butterfly here? That's the main question. We want people asking.
We're indoors,
like,
right?
This is weird,
Yeah.
right? Like, it shouldn't be here.
And they're definitely entitled to do that, and it's great that it's not a throwaway trailer, that it seems like they put a lot of thought into it. But personally, I've got very little interest in the story or lore of any of the Call of Duty games, including Black Ops. I don't think they've ever done a really great story. I don't care about the characters. And to be honest, I'd be interested in how many people are interested in the Black Ops characters and what's going on with Mason and Menendez. I'm willing to bet there's not many. And frustratingly, this detailed breakdown where they go almost like frame by frame through the trailer stops just before they get to the actual interesting part, which is the gameplay. They just decide to cut away from it then for some reason.
Thanks.
Thank you for having me. Happy to represent the team and all the work that they've done. And I hope all the fans out there really look at this and go back and watch it again and see what you think. And again, we love the theories. We love the discourse.
Yeah, keep them coming.
Keep it coming. That really fuels the team. And so thank you. And we cannot wait for the next thing you guys are going to see.
There's then a long section about motion capture, which I'm sure is probably worth a watch to some people who don't know anything about motion capture, but that's not what I want to talk about in this video. Towards the end, they do a quick rundown of Season 4 Reloaded, so what's coming to Call of Duty in the immediate future, you know, in the next month.
Earn those. Check it out.
I love a burst weapon. It's 3-round burst.
And weirdly, it's almost all things that we already knew about the blog posts, and it sounds maybe a little bit less than what we knew about in the blog posts.
If you're listening to the COD pod, you're already a diehard COD fan, let's be real. So Fringe coming back.
And they confirm a couple of things that they were unsure about before, like search and destroy contracts, and the hand cannon kill streaks are coming to the main battle royale. They've been tested in Clash at the moment. There's no mention of that door lock thing, which I thought was kind of interesting, but after you can get it in the Overlook Easter egg, check out my channel if you want to see a guide on how to do that. I did find that it was quite hard to think of places where it would actually be useful. But anyway, they talk about all of the stuff that's coming in Season 4 Reloaded, and even the hosts sound a little bit like they're struggling to summon up enthusiasm for anything that's been announced.
Also coming to Season 4 Reloaded, we have the King of the Dead, and last but not least, the Abomination Challenge and Starting Room limited time modes coming to zombies in season 4 Reloaded. So lots to look forward to, both there and beyond.
Loads to look forward to.
And don't get me wrong, they're great hosts. Stephanie Snowden does an amazing job at COD Next and things like that. But it's hard for them to try and make this stuff sound exciting because it just isn't. You know, when they're talking about stuff coming back that we've had before, like Shatterblast coming back to zombies or modes coming back to multiplayer that we've had before, that's just not that interesting. And then it gets a little bit worse. They confirmed that the next zombies map, which is the Janus Towers, we already knew about that was going to be the next map, that's not coming in Season 4 Reloaded. It's actually going to be coming at the start of Season 5. So we've had this big gap of all of Season 3 and all of Season 4, kind of 4 months between the last zombies map and the next one. So it'll be coming out at the beginning of August. And they said that this is the finale for Black Ops 6 Zombies. So that's the end of it, which kind of surprises me a little bit. I think a lot of us at the beginning of the year, when they were releasing a bunch of zombies maps, 2 came with the game, then we got a new one straight away, and they were releasing one at the beginning of every season. We thought, oh, maybe we're going to get one every season for this entire year. But nope, they're skipping 2 seasons, Season 4 and Season 6. We're just getting one more, and then Zombies is done. Now, it doesn't take a genius to work out what's happening here. Treyarch are making the next game. I'm sure they'll need to have some zombies maps for that game. I imagine the people who would have been making zombies maps normally are probably trying to build up content for the next game. I assume that's what's going to happen. And it kind of sucks as a zombies player, for me at least, that because this is a direct continuation going from Black Ops 6 to Black Ops 7, I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of stuff repeated again, enemy types, perks, wonder weapons and stuff. I think that's been my main complaint about this year of zombies. While the maps have been pretty good, there's been so much recycled content, so much stuff that's just come back from Black Ops Cold War or previous games, and it feels like that's just going to continue a little bit more. I did find out a little bit of kind of interesting information about zombies this year, but right now I don't think I'm allowed to talk about it yet. But as soon as I am, I'm going to do a really interesting video about zombies, so make sure you subscribe and turn your notifications on. Whenever I get the go-ahead to talk about that bit of information, I really want to, because it kind of reframes everything that we've seen about zombies over the last few months. Anyway, enough teasing. Back to the COD pod. They get into some questions and answers from the community. And, one of them's like showing that they're going to take the hard questions where someone asks about the bugs and why there's so many bugs. And they don't really say anything massively interesting there. And then they talk about that picture of a squad with wingsuits on. That little snippet from the teaser trailer, which I was really hoping was going to be Blackout or something to do with Warzone. I was like, come on, they're showing 4 people wingsuiting into a massive map that we already know has been set up for Warzone. Avalon has all the Ascenders on and all of these buildings that haven't featured in the other games. Surely that's what it is. And they confirm, nope, that is just the co-op campaign. And I know one of the leakers had said that, and it's really depressing. It's like, why did they show us that? Why did they show a group of 4 going in like that? Are people really going to be super hyped that, yeah, we've got a co-op campaign where you're going to be able to fly in? People played the open world missions in Modern Warfare 3, right? Like, they were really terrible, like really, really bad. Now you'll be able to do them with a friend, or even with 3 friends if you want, or random strangers. I imagine they'll probably work a bit like the raids for Modern Warfare 2. If anyone played the raids, they had a couple of cool ideas in them, but they generally weren't all that interesting or satisfying to play. So yeah, that's another example of them just kind of stamping on the excitement. People were excited about lots of zombies maps, and nope, not only getting one more of those. People were excited about the idea that Warzone's going to change dramatically, or that we're going to get Blackout back for Blackout 2. And they're just, very quick to say, nope, that's not happening either. And in fact, all that little snippet did really was confirm to us that the campaign is going to be taking us back to locations we've already seen. We're going back to Avalon. I don't think Avalon's sparked any real interest in the fan base outside of the idea that it could potentially be a Warzone map at some point. And now the idea that the campaign's going to be reusing locations. Maybe there'll be different locations within Avalon, I'm sure. But yeah, I don't think it strikes me as super exciting. It feels a bit more like, oh, I can see how they could save money there. And as a consumer, that's not the best feeling to have. Then they also answer a question about wall running. There's been leaks surrounding wall running saying wall running's coming to the game, and they confirm there's no wall running, there's no jetpacks, but Omni Movement's going to have an evolution. And yes, I've heard the leaks now about how the leakers have changed what they're saying about it and saying, oh, it's not wall running, it's something else. I think it sounds a bit silly and boring. If it is true, I don't know, it's not that exciting. I'm kind of hoping maybe they'll do something with the Omni Movement where maybe they build on what I think was one of the best features of Black Ops 6, where you always have a melee weapon, and if you have the melee weapon out, you have unlimited tactical sprint. I think that was pretty cool, and maybe they could build on that a bit more. Like, if you've got your melee weapon out, you can do a few more parkour type things, like not wall running exactly, but like scrambling up the side of buildings. So like if there's a first story window, maybe you could actually climb up to it if you've got your melee weapon out. So you've got the kind of punishment that when you go through that window, you're not going to have a gun ready, but it gives you another way into a building if people are camped up there. Stuff like that I think could actually be pretty cool. But then again, that is just wild speculation on my point and not based on anything, so that probably isn't true. And then that's kind of it for the COD pod. It feels like the whole presentation was kind of a bunch of fluff, and I'm sure it was great for people who are super interested in the Black Ops lore to get a few extra snippets there at the beginning, and I'm sure there's some people who had no idea how motion capture works and enjoyed seeing a little bit of that, seeing how they do that for the game. I think most people who are a bit older and follow media have probably seen that kind of thing quite a lot of times. But anyway, there was very little in terms of announcements for Black Ops 7 or Warzone, and they haven't ever really used a COD podcast for this. Like, don't get me wrong, I didn't go into this thinking, oh, this is going to be a huge set of reveals, this is where they're going to do a deep dive into the game. There was none of that, but what I was surprised was that they used this as a kind of damage limitation, damage control, to say, hey, we want to stop some of the hype that's building around Blackout 2 or wall running or anything like that. Like, we wanted to stop people getting excited about the idea maybe there's more zombies maps. They're kind of stopping people from being too excited about what's coming to Call of Duty, which feels weird. Like, it feels weird that, as I said, while they never used the COD podcast to build hype for the next games, etc., it's more of like just a little extra thing that they have on the side. Instead, they used it to kind of limit hype, to sort of dampen our enthusiasm a little bit. In a way, it makes sense. The big reveal will probably be at Gamescom, which is like the 20th of August, so mid-August. And with Season 5 starting at the beginning of August, I think it's like the 6th or the 7th of August, I'm sure there'll be some teasers coming to Warzone or the game where they'll start hyping up Black Ops 7 then. So for the next couple of months, you know, the rest of June and all of July and the very start of August, they probably don't want people building up their expectations in the wrong way. They don't want people to be speculating and getting really excited about the potential for Blackout 2, only to then be disappointed when the game's actually revealed. Or, you know, people who are big Titanfall fans or Black Ops 3 fans who wanted to see the wall running again, they don't want people to get carried away. They want to stop that now so we can get over our disappointment right now. And then whatever they do show in the reveal will hopefully be positive stuff that maybe we didn't expect, rather than a disappointment based on what we thought we knew. That being said, it does feel a little bit right now like they don't have a lot to be excited about. The tone was super subdued whenever they were talking about the future of it. They were saying things like, oh, I can't wait to talk more about this, you know, I'm super excited to be able to talk about it, but I couldn't really work out what it is that they're excited about, because it sounds like we're getting another Black Ops campaign from Treyarch and Raven, and, you know, the last one was fine. It wasn't amazing, it wasn't like a really good game, but it was a fine campaign as far as Call of Duty ones go. And then there's not really much else to be excited about right now. They weren't even teasing that there's something that they can't talk about. They weren't saying, oh, there's some new mode that's going to like blow your minds. They weren't saying that there's some big secret that they can't talk about yet, but it's really going to change how you see Call of Duty. There was none of that. It was just like, hey, yeah, there's some more Call of Duty coming, and don't worry, this was our plan all along. We haven't changed course. You know, they were very, very carefully saying, Black Ops 7 isn't just like a surprise. It's not like they've had to shift their plans. This was the plan all along for them to just keep doing this. And to be honest, if they're still following the plan for Call of Duty, I think that's probably a mistake, because the plan obviously isn't working right now. You know, Call of Duty isn't doing very well. The only numbers we ever have, as always, are from Steam charts. It's not doing great. It doesn't look like that enthusiasm from the start of Black Ops 7 stuck around. Like, the numbers are back down to where they were before Black Ops 7. Verdansk coming back didn't really move the needle that much in terms of player numbers. The game still has all the bugs. It still has the cheats and everything. I don't think they should be sticking with whatever the plan is for Call of Duty, because people don't seem to be enjoying the game.